welcome to my channel today. It's Melinda and I'm sharing my November, my goodness, November Scrap the Boys challenge layout. You can see here I've got my cameo mat and I've cut the scalloped heart available from Cut2 Designs. I have applied a coat of clear gesso to the whole page because I figure I can probably use this 3 times. So I'm going to add some colour here. I've got a photo of my husband and I that I'm going to be scrapbooking. So I will pop you on fast forward. I hope you enjoy. Hi, so I am back. I'm going to prelude this with, I hope this voiceover works. I think this is like the 7th time that I've tried to do this voiceover. You will see further on in the video that I do struggle a little bit with my design. And it seems that when I have a problem when I'm creating, it likes to continue on to the processing of the video and the voiceover and all of those fun things. So if I sound frustrated, it's because I've told you like 16 times already what I've done. But what I've done is I've already pre-gessoed my white cardstock on my cutting mat. I've left it on there because it makes it easier for the colour to be continuous across the whole thing rather than trying to work on little bits. I'm using my Kuretake Gansai Tambi watercolours, and I've just picked colours to match that butterfly paper that I had on the screen a minute ago. I'm using the Vicki Boutin All the Good Things collection, which I believe was Vicki Boutin's first collection with American Crafts. And I have a few bits and pieces. I've got the ephemera and I keep meaning to use it and I just keep forgetting about it. So I was like, that's it, I'm using it. So yeah, that's what I'm embellishing with, and that's why I match the colours to that collection. I'm just squirting water onto my cardstock here, and then using between the paintbrush, I'm dripping some water on. It's one of the watercolor paintbrush with the tank. Dripping some colour on, using my paintbrush to spread it around. I tip the page up. I soak up some of the water. Basically, I'm just adding colour, adding water until I'm happy with what I've got. I am making sure that when I'm doing this, that I'm putting colours next to each other that I know are going to blend nicely and not make mud. So I started with the yellow and then I went to my orange. I've added some pink and then I've made sure I've added some green, mostly next to the yellow. Some of it is next to the pink. But you can see down the bottom there, it's kind of started to blend into the orange. When I'm not happy with the colour that it starts to create, I just dab it up with a paper towel. There you go. And I get the cleaner orange and the cleaner green without it looking like mud. I just continue in this way until I've got enough of the page covered that I want covered. I did initially think that I was going to cover the whole page. But if you've already seen my close-ups, you'll know that there are still some bits of white. But I decided that I was quite happy and that there was enough when I finished with my last colour. Adding in some blues now, again making sure that they're next to colours that I know that they're going to mix nicely with. And just, if they do go where I don't want them, I just soak them up with a paper towel. The beauty of working on a gessoed background as well is if the colours do mix and you do get a muddy colour, most of the time, especially with watercolours, you can reactivate it with some water and then dab up the colour and you don't have the mud there anymore. It's like magic. So I'm now moved on to some teal, which I can see as soon as I kind of looked and went, okay, what colour am I missing? I'm missing teal. Great. The only place that I've got to put teal mostly is next to the reds and the oranges. All right. Paper towel ready. You can see that my paper towel is quite wet, and I do in a minute change over to a paper towel. There we go, paper towel roll, and I find some drier spots on that which work a bit better to dry things off. Just going back in with a bit more yellow. I find that can be a problem when I start with the lightest colour. It can get quite easily overtaken. But that's another reason why I do start with the lightest colour, is you can add more of the lighter colour back on top most of the time because you've already kind of reserved that place for the lighter colour. Does that make sense? Makes sense in my head. The other thing too is I'm making sure that I'm really cleaning out that brush between each colour. I don't want to make mud. I really, really don't want to make mud in case you missed that. So I am being really careful and making sure I clean off that paintbrush. For the most part, I managed to get colours next to each other that I'm happy for them to blend together. So yeah. This ends up being a much softer colour palette than I had first anticipated. I still love it. I'm actually really happy with it, and I think I'm happier with it than if it had been a more vibrant colour palette. I'm going to pop some music on for you because I know that I'm going to come on in a second, in a minute or so, and have a chat to you, because you'll see after I pull this off the cutting mat, which is a bit of a debacle, you'll see what happens. But if you're going to do this yourself, make sure that your cut file is completely dry before you try to lift it off the cutting mat. It will it will tear if you don't. Lesson learned the hard way. Learn from my mistake. So I pull it off the cutting mat after I rip it. It's not like I didn't do any damage to it. You can still use all the bits, which I'm really happy about. And then I dried it off with my heat tool, which I think you get to see very, very briefly. Yeah, dried it off with my heat tool. And so I have backed it with some vellum. I cut the vellum on my Cameo. I just did a internal offset on the outline, and then I put a thin thing of glue all the way around the heart shape, and then stuck the vellum on that way. I forgot about all this part. I'm backing my photo with some tissue paper. I'm going to give it some messy layers. The background paper, the black, is one of the Vicki Boutin papers. It was the one that I first picked out that I initially wanted to use, and you'll see in a couple of minutes, that I do decide that it's not working and I swap it out. So this is my idea. The graphic for this month says you plus me equals love heart, and that was kind of what I was planning on using as my title. I was going to use these alphabets, but that were too big. Okay, so change that out. I ended up picking these alphabets. They are from Paige Evans' first collection with American Crafts. And I'm just going to, I start with the title you plus me equals, thinking, while the title's on the right hand side, that the equals, you can read the love heart as the love, as the answer, right? But things change. I decide that doesn't work. I have put this in super sped up motion because you get to see me just move things around, be indecisive and not really sure what I want to do. Trying out a couple of different papers here because something's just not right. I end up trying some white cardstock. I feel like that's better. Move my photo over. Like, that's better again, but something just isn't. So yeah, you get to watch me play with some embellishments. I'm going to stop my voice over here because I am going to come on live in a minute and I'll explain exactly what I've done and what's happening. Everyone, so when I left you last, I was mucking around with embellishments and I couldn't work out what I wanted, so I walked away. I ended up swapping my vellum heart, which is beautiful, I will use it for something else, for the inside part of my heart, back on the black background, and I'm loving this heaps better. So I'm pretty sure that this is my design. I decided to take away the equals as well, just because if you, the love heart doesn't read to me as I kind of hoped it would, so I'm just going to leave it as you and me. So yeah, I'm going to pop you back on fast forward, and you can you can watch me finish this page. You have to excuse me. I've picked up a cold and my symptoms are only getting worse. So enjoy. Okay, so I've explained what's happened and why I've changed it around. I'm much happier with this on the black background with that solid heart, and I'm going to run with that. I end up using some feathers down the bottom. I've cut that green doily in half. I use a couple of the paper clips. There's a couple of layers there. And I use flowers because I can, because I like them and they're pretty. Using some cardboard, I could have cut this out, I do apologise. Using some cardboard because I don't like to spend money on foam, because I have much more interesting things to spend my money on. Just going to add some. That's right, I'm building my clusters onto my photo rather than onto my page. I don't know if I've done it yet or not, but I do end up sewing around my heart. Sorry if this voiceover's a bit scattered and all over the place. I kind of feel a bit scattered and all over the place at the moment. I'm still not 100% well, and like I said, I've done this voiceover so many times. Just adding my layers, making sure I've got lots of different dimensions to make it interesting. I like that pop of green behind both of those clusters, and I'm making sure that I'm popping up the bits that need it. Gold Heidi Swapp Colour Shine, because why not? And I've popped my heart onto my background as well, so that if one drop happens to land half on and half off the heart, then it's even and it doesn't look stupid. And then I'm going to walk away, I think, and let that dry. I've come back, I've done some stitching. I think the stitching is in white. Using this really wide double-sided tape to stick my heart down. And I used my little distressing tool to stress the edges as well, give a little bit of dimension. I just wanted to make sure that was right in the middle of my page. I'm going to re-add my title in. I've ended up using one of the letter O's, I think, for my one of the number zeros for my O, because then the colours worked better. And then I'm going to add in a couple more pop dots. Pretty sure. What do I do next? I think I'm going to add my journaling. Now this was a bit of a fiasco. I tried a couple of different pens. This one ended up smudging and rubbing off. So then I ended up with the good old Sharpie. My journaling is still there. I'm going to stitch through the title. I'm going to give you a quick close up here. I'm going to stitch through the title as well, just to make sure those letters stay. And that is my page done. I hope you've enjoyed. And I will be back again very soon with another process video. Until then, have a fantastic scrappy day, week, or whatever it is, and I will speak to you again very soon. Thanks for stopping by.